Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. Welcome to the Gnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, live for you every Friday that I can possibly stream live on YouTube. And as I'm sitting in this chair, you may hear some squeaking as I move around. It's not my back, nor is it my posterior. It's my chair telling me that it needs just a little bit of silicone spray so that it stops being so squeaky. So let me go ahead and make sure that everybody is where they need to be, since this link should have been tweeted out earlier, so you knew exactly where to watch us live on YouTube. And again, I apologize, as I mentioned, I think it was just the other day, at least in a vlog, that I didn't do a live TLDR last Friday. It was a 4-day weekend, so thank you for your patience in that. In a couple of minutes, we should be all receiving a push notification to the free Gnome app available for both iOS and Android. When you get the push notification in the Gnome app, you should be able to tap or click or whatever to automatically open up whatever link is associated with that status update. I don't know if you knew that about the push notifications. I thank mobileroadie.com for making it possible for us to have this free Gnome app, which works much the same way on Android as it does on iOS. Our top user today appears to be Thomas J, who accrues, over time, he has accrues, or is cruising along in the app. No, I mean accruing as in gaining. He's gained a total of 21,000 points, but today is the top engager, Thomas J. Again, thank you for downloading and using the free app available for both iOS and Android. We did have a question come in earlier asking if I would be doing any kind of Windows 8 application. Not officially, although that being said, there is word that there is a Gnome app that is nice to use on Windows 8, even though it's not an official Gnome app. You can download Gnome applications that the community has developed for you to use on Windows 8. Just search for Gnome. Hopefully nothing bad would show up. Likely just a set of links to our various feeds, even though we have more than one feed out there. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, lockergnome.com, deals.lockergnome.com, lockergnome.net, my blog. Kind of publish a lot, don't I? Sorry about that. So let me check to make sure we've got comments rolling in. Although it just seems like on my end it's a little stunted. So let me log out on this machine so that I can see it the way that you see this page. But, you know, as is true for any time we happen to stream live, thank you again for your enduring patience. Ah, yes, there we go. White Star Line 22 said that I answered his questions. He's satisfied. Glad I was able to hit that mark. Alan Blodgett. Hey, Chris, whatever happened to the new Facebook news feed? It's been like 6 months since they announced it. Don't take my word for that time, though. Well, Alan, I couldn't speak directly to that question since I don't work at Facebook. I can tell you one thing. I'm very happy that people, are coming to our Facebook page and commenting. In fact, that is the base list of questions that I'm going to be drawing from in case we don't have a lot that come in from the live commenters here. And by the way, all you live commenters, thanks for liking this video. 75 of you liked it before I even broadcast. That does wonders for my confidence. Makes me believe that you really want me to do this even if you can't participate live. The one thing I am disappointed about with Facebook recently is not the rollout of the graph search, which did roll out for me eventually. I once had the ability to reply and have threaded comments and ranked comments on Facebook, and then I lost that ability. So I really hope that it does come back at some point in the very near future. Techno Network UK asks, what's the easiest way to get macOS 10 on Windows 7? Really, there is no way. The other way is possible. You could get OS 10 on, or I'm sorry, you can get OS 10 on OS 10, but you can also get Windows 7 on OS 10 thanks to Parallels running inside a virtual machine. In fact, it's Parallels that makes it possible for me to have this MacBook Air, which I'm using right now, not to live stream. That's another computer that's just out of your vision. But this MacBook Air is going to be given away at some point in the future. Stay tuned for those details. But that reminds me to let you know that if you head over to deals.lockergnome.com right now, holding up another computer, you can participate in the other MacBook Air giveaway. You should take advantage of that. That is free. It's a giveaway. Just go over here, tap the giveaways tab right there underneath the Locker Gnome logo. Oh, and then you see this. We have our summer 2013 Mac bundle featuring Parallels Desktop 8 for Mac. It's like 10 top utilities for 90% off. So if you don't have a Mac, we're giving you a chance to get a Mac for free. And if you have a Mac and you're looking for good software, we're giving you a discount. There, that's it. All right. CJ Wabs asks on YouTube, does anybody feel like Microsoft is trying to be Apple and Apple trying to be Android? Well, I do believe that Microsoft is trying to be like Apple, and I think that's a good thing. I mentioned this yesterday in TLDR. I don't know if Apple's trying to be like Android. That doesn't make sense because you're talking about a company and a platform, two completely different things. I don't know where you got that idea. It's really kind of bizarre. I would like to investigate that further, if only to talk through a few misconceptions that you seem to have. Now, the nice thing is Microsoft's got its business model, Google's got its business model, Apple's got its business model. They're all separate business models, so it's difficult to talk about the products, even if they happen to sit in the same category, at the same time when you're talking about companies with different business models. So hopefully you can clarify that question as we roll on. And speaking of Google, I have an email that I printed out to make sure I answered it. Came in today. My email address, by the way, chris@pirillo.com. Hey, Chris, my name is Josh. I work as tech in a public school system in Connecticut. Our school is using Google, or they're planning on going to Google. Do you think, and I think he's referring to Google as a platform, Google Apps for businesses and what have you. Do you think personally that most kids will be fine with Chrome OS, or do you think that they will be better off with a traditional laptop? Well, let's be careful there, okay? I'll get to that in a second. Let me go ahead and finish what he wrote. Our school is going to go with Chromebooks. However, I'm wondering if that's the best option. Surprisingly, Chromebooks can be managed and liked towards LDAP or LDAP. Just curious if this is a great opportunity for a school district. Thanks for the input. Joshua Cloutier. Oh, sorry. I think that... I kind of messed up the question there. Hopefully you'll forgive me, Josh. I didn't mean to do that. But to answer the question, do I think you'll be fine with Chrome OS or better off with a traditional laptop? I have my Chromebook right here and just updated it. I keep it on the beta channel. It's really easy to do. You just go over to Settings, and then you go to Help. If you're familiar with Google Chrome at all as a browser, you can navigate Chrome OS easily. And I just updated it today, so now I'm on version 28 on the beta channel. I tend not to run dev for Google Chrome on the Chromebook, but I would say that beta has been stable enough for my usage. And I think this is, in many ways, a traditional laptop. What is this not? This is not a high-end machine. But this is a laptop. It looks like a laptop, functions like a laptop. Chrome OS is an operating system. I can do just about anything on this notebook computer, this laptop, as I could on any notebook computer or laptop at a base level. And I think for students, or certainly even for people who don't need much out of a laptop, the Chromebook is just fine. In fact, it may be more than fine. And laptops, traditional laptops and notebook computers may be overkill. Number one, they're expensive, they're difficult to manage, and they're not updated frequently. And Chrome, on a notebook computer, specifically a Chromebook, a Chrome OS, is updated so frequently, easy to manage, and affordable. So it's powerful enough to get the job done. That being said, as a power user, I don't know how happy I would be with this particular Chromebook. As you can see here, it's kind of stuttery as I'm scrolling around. Not really a top performer, but that's not what it's here for. Costs right around $300 or less, this particular Chromebook. I'm sure you're getting one that's a bit more affordable for your school or your district, but it would let me do anything that I would normally do or want to do anywhere else, for the most part. I mean, there's some software that I probably would not want to run in a web browser, namely a video editor. That may change over time, certainly as performance matches, you know, what my expectations might be with anything that I might want to do on a notebook computer. But I think this is something that people got to get over. Don't think of a notebook computer as something that just runs an OS that you're used to. This is an OS, Chrome OS. This is a notebook computer. This is a perfectly functioning notebook computer. And it's affordable. So, as I said, Chromebooks get a thumb up from me, certainly for students or anybody who may not need everything out of a notebook computer, but are not really satisfied with, say, a traditional or now traditional tablet computer like an iPad. Let's see here. Gaming for Days asks, also, do you think eventually laptops or any kind of computer will eventually be projected as an image? Oh yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. Right now, in fact, I was having this conversation earlier with a business associate. I think the killer app, and this, I would say this is a Trojan horse for Apple, is AirPlay. Now, if you don't know what AirPlay is, it's what Apple calls the technology that allows you to beam media from one device to another. So I can beam whatever is on my iPhone screen up onto my computer using software that's not built into OS X, that is. I use go.tagjag.com/airserver, and that allows me to mirror iOS devices to the Mac. They now have built into Mac or OS X specifically, the ability to beam wirelessly whatever's on your screen up onto an AirPlay device like a TV or an Apple TV. So I could do the same thing. I could beam from an iOS device up onto a TV. So it's not exactly, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about an actual projector built in. There have been devices that have done that. They just didn't really sell well because they were very, very expensive and klutzy. I think it could happen. I think it's going to be a few years before that gets to be usable. Certainly not a battery killer. And in the interim, I think services like AirPlay are going to trump. In fact, one of the bigger announcements that came when Apple talked about iOS 7 recently was iOS in the car. And I think that is a huge improvement. This is what I had a guess that Google was going to do that with Android, and they never did, and then Apple comes along, and that's what they're going to be doing, and I think that's smart. They're going to be using AirPlay from your iOS device and working with car manufacturers instead of the crappy dashboard that most people have in the car. If you have a nav or a dashboard in the car, a computer screen, it sucks. It's horrible. So Apple's going to fix that. You know, they're going to allow you to, synchronize and beam data from your iOS device up onto that larger screen in the car. That's, built around the idea of you're driving, you need to use the system, use a system that's usable. So iOS in the car is being managed or will be managed by way of AirPlay. AirPlay is going to be everywhere. And this is why I say it's Apple's Trojan horse. I think it's a very powerful system that Apple's setting up, and unfortunately, nobody else is caught on. There's a possibility that we'll see the same thing happen with Miracast eventually, if they can get everybody else on the same page, but by then, Apple will be how much further ahead with AirPlay? So, I just wanted to kind of talk around that now that you brought it up, and I'm glad it kind of dovetailed into the conversation I had earlier. Mark Hyder. Hey, Mark. It's been a while, saw you out in London. He asks, will you buy a 3D printer in the home? I've seen a few go up on Kickstarter, very affordable, under $500, and very nice looking, but I don't know what I would use a 3D printer for. I think if I did get a 3D printer, it would be at a point where I could, get super high printouts, like if I wanted super high quality in terms of material and the plastic. If I could make my own Lego minifigs at home, game over. Game over. I totally would do that. And some people have. In fact, someone has created, this is not an official Lego product, but a series of Game of Thrones minifigs. And they're not official, but they look high quality like they are official minifigs. And I'm thinking about getting them because I that's kind of neat. Even though they're not official, I've never really picked up on the whole bootleg minifigs to the past, but if they are in the past, but I may give them a shot, considering I am an adult fan of Lego, and that makes me a geek. Flying Penguin 88 right there on YouTube. Thoughts on a future NVIDIA phone based on their Shield platform running Android? We'll see how Shield works or doesn't work. If you didn't catch the status update last night on my Facebook feed, let me see if I can pull that up here. I returned my Ouya after uploading a series of videos, unboxing them, and showing you my experience or initial experiences with Ouya in this particular YouTube channel. I think that was last weekend. Thank you again for watching, for rating, for sharing, and if I didn't tell you this week, thanks again for subscribing. I appreciate all the support. I'm scrolling down. Boy, I do post a lot on Facebook, don't I? Give me a second. I'm scrolling down through everything that I posted today, trying to get to what I posted last night. It'll come. You don't make it. in just a second. Almost there. Almost no. I keep promoting other things. Okay. Give me a... Just... Does Facebook ever take this long to load for you? Here we go. This is what I was heading for. I posted a screenshot of me returning the Ouya. I said, ouchia, and then hashtag Ouya. And I purchased it through Amazon, so I got the full refund. They just applied it to a gift card. It's not there yet. And I know it'll get there. And when it does get there, if it's still 99 bucks, great. But until then, it's not really worth 100 bucks. I suppose if I wanted to flash it and play classic video game ROMs on it, I could. But then again, I've got my own arcade machine, and I emulate through that. So what do I need another device that does the same thing for? Don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense for me right now. Let's go ahead, and while we're talking about Facebook, one of the things, or a couple of things that I'm really kind of having fun with, when I find something interesting to get on Amazon.com, I will share that link throughout social, specifically like on Facebook and Google+, and also Twitter, naturally. Oh yeah, and I also posted this image, you know. There's Jon Snow. He's playing Jeopardy there, and he's in the hole by $7,000, and the title is "You Know Nothing, Jon Snow," which you would get if you watched Game of Thrones. And speaking of watching, am I the only one who tripped through Sharknado last night? Watching that, I learned so many things, for the lack of a better word, from watching Sharknado. That, I hope to God that never happens again. No, not me learning. I hope I continue to learn, just the Sharknado thing. 289 of you people showed up. I'm assuming some of you may be cats, but 289 watching live is great, with 186 who have taken the effort to do this. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. Oh, I found this, too, last night. Portable air conditioner for about 60 bucks. It's a nice portable gadget, which can cool the air by 20 to 30 degrees. I may be buying this for myself, if only because I'm heading out to Iowa soon, and it's very hot out there, and I cannot stand the heat, and I think if you've watched me for any amount of time, you know that. So there's a portable air conditioner you can buy, and if I do buy it, yes, you will see it in TLDR as well as in the vlogs. I also found this, a thumb drive. That's also a thumb. I don't know if I would ever buy that, but I know some people would, if only as a gag, because 43 of you shared that on Facebook. And I also found this thumb drive. Look at that. It is... I got to be careful because of Facebook's CSS on the webpage. I was trying to zoom in to show you. It's a camera that's a flash drive, or a flash drive that looks like a DSLR. A mini DSLR flash drive. That's kind of neat. 19 of you shared that, so I know you thought that was kind of interesting as well. So I just wanted to bring that up before too long, because I'm finding really cool things on Amazon, and I like sharing things that I find on Amazon because I buy things on Amazon all the time. I know I'm not the only one either. All right, so moving along, I want to go to another question here. Another email. Geert Bickler asks, in times where screens are getting more and more durable and scratch resistant, how useful are screen protectors? I always used one, and now I recently bought a Galaxy S4, and my friends are calling me crazy for using a screen protector. There was a time when I swore by screen protectors, and since upgrading to the iPhone 5, I have not used a screen protector. The screen has been just fine without a screen protector. I don't know how you feel about screen protectors out there in the community. Feel free to leave comments on your thoughts of screen protectors, but, you know, it just, it's not as necessary as I thought it was. Really. I mean, I just found that even putting on a matte screen protector, which you know I used to love, I don't need it so much anymore. My screen does get dirty, or I guess, and the dirtier, it collects junk more frequently without a screen protector than it did when I had a matte screen protector. That's kind of annoying, but I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much when the screen's on, so it seems to work. Mario Parra says, weren't you super excited for the Ouya? I thought you'd be the last person to return it. Ha ha. Yeah, Mario, the thing is, I was excited. Why wouldn't I be? $100, that's Geek Impulse buy territory for me. But, you know, I realized, I'm like, you know, after the newness kind of wore off, I was like, maybe for $50, $25, yeah, but $100, I was like, well, if I got a chance to return it, I might as well. Maybe with future updates. Hey, just because you get excited about something doesn't mean that you're going to be excited about it forever. Buyer's remorse did set in, and I was very grateful to have a chance to return it. When I asked you what you wanted me to answer today on Twitter, let's see here. Henry Sumonian asks, do you like bacon? Indeed I do. Zorocan1 asked, what software do you use to live stream? Well, to live stream here, I use the software running courtesy of Wirecast. It's YouTube's official broadcaster. I'm very, very, very grateful to be using that too. Wirecast is pretty much the name in live streaming software. The company Telestream ended up donating a few redeem codes to our Vlogger Fair attendees. I was appreciative of that as well. All right, let's see here. What else do we have from Twitter? Not really much. James asks, or that's his name. Well, it's just his first name was listed. Have you ever been to Disney World? If so, what was your favorite part of the trip? If not, do you want to go there sometime? I have been to Disney World. Last time was with my family that I grew up with, so I was a kid. I will get back there, I'm sure, at some point in the future. Although if I go to Legoland, apparently I have to bring a kid. Did you guys hear that story about the 63-year-old Canadian goes down to Legoland and is turned away because he doesn't have a kid? I didn't even know that was a rule until now. That's crazy. But you know, it's good to know now instead of having to make the trip. I'm happy that I would be able to. I'll rent someone, I think, to go. That's a little weird. Maybe I won't do that. Let's go back to Facebook to see what kind of questions we have coming in here. Job Humperston Bray asks, will they make the new iPad bigger or keep the same size? Anybody's guess. If anything, I would say they'd probably make it smaller. So what Apple would likely do is, see, this is the shape and the look of the normal iPad with the huge bezel, which I appreciate because of the way I hold it. But with updates to iOS, they may make the new larger iPad look more like a bigger iPad mini, if that makes any sense to you. So it's likely to get smaller, not larger. David Chow asks, want to talk about how you almost worked for Microsoft? I kind of teased this yesterday, didn't I? Ah, boy, kind of stepped into it. It was a few years back, just moved to Seattle, and someone who worked at Microsoft asked, hey, you know, we're going to be doing some interesting things. How would you like to come work for us? And why not? You know, I'd never really gone through a series of interviews before, but I did. I interviewed with Microsoft, and it was a certain process that you went through, and I made it through the entire process. In fact, the day that I went in for the final interview, I met Vic Gundotra, who now works at Google, is very well known on Google+, too. He may remember that day as well. It was a lot of fun, but ultimately, you know, even though I would have been excited to work at Microsoft and would have welcomed that opportunity at any point in time, I've never had anything against Microsoft, other than not really appreciating some of the decisions they've made with products, and I never really have to make excuses for that because everything that I've said has pretty much come true. Not because I said it was going to come true, but because Microsoft's made some questionable decisions. But they're a company. They're not perfect. I'm a person. I'm not perfect. Basically, what it boiled down to is they couldn't afford me. I would have taken a severe pay cut. As an entrepreneur with his own business, spending most of his time on that, it would have been a huge step forward in some ways. But I also would have lost a lot of money working for Microsoft, which is kind of disappointing. But I would always welcome the opportunity to work with any large company on any level because, you know, they're doing some good things. And I would love to tell them, like, don't make any mistakes. That's my problem. I have no issue telling anybody when I think they're making a mistake, which makes me perfect for YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Right? Doesn't it? Like, Messabouts on YouTube asks, what do you think about the new Nokia Lumia with its 41 megapixel camera? I think it's overkill. 41 megapixels? Really? Okay. If that's the only value add, if they think that that's going to sell the camera, good for you. If anything, the camera software everyone was talking about, that's the big news. And they announced that they're going to be giving that software to Nokia Lumia 920, 925, and 928 owners, which I am. Yay! So I'll be able to use that new software when it rolls out. Very happy to hear that. As far as getting a smartphone for its camera, it's nice to have a good camera, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to sell that well. People generally don't buy smartphones for their camera. They buy them because it's a good comprehensive experience. The quality of the camera may influence decisions, but 41 megapixels? Really? I have to ask, who needs that? Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Hey, if everyone was shipping 41 megapixel cameras on their smartphones, I'd be all for it. But it just seems that right now I don't know why yet. And that may change. You know, when I see a shot side by side, sharpness, clarity, color, and Nokia has always done an outstanding job with cameras and camera phones. In fact, my first camera phone, and I've got pictures from it still, was a Nokia device. Yeah, did you guys know? I don't know if I talked about that in this channel before. So I have nothing against it. I just don't know if that's really. I haven't seen it. Reserve judgment until I do see it and experience it. I think it's nice. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to get people to buy the phone, and then because they have to think through the hump of, oh, I got to switch to Windows Phone, which they may already have Windows Phone, which will be an easier leap. But if they're already entrenched in Android or iOS or BlackBerry, there are a few of you out there. There are a few of you. Cameron Lee, why don't you have Twitch? Because I don't game all that much. And if I did, I would not brag about how I game. It may, if I had enough call for people wanting me to game and stream my games, I would do it. I probably would. But you inevitably would want to watch my friends who game better than I do, rather than watching me game, because I don't do all that well. Even with classic games, it takes me a while to kind of get into it. See here. Rafi R asks, what is more important to you, hardware or software? Rafi, that is a great question. I would say between hardware and software, software is more important for me. It honestly is. A good user experience, I think, starts with software. A good hardware, don't get me wrong, is great, but without usable software, I don't even want to use the hardware. Now just think about that. Without good software, I don't even want to use the hardware. If you want, quote me on that on Twitter. Just include @ChrisPirillo, hashtag TLDR. We'll overtake that hashtag. Let's see here. Reading the questions, going back to Facebook. Sunny Calra asks, should you think that iOS 7 be more open than it currently is? I mean, they provided support for external controllers, but even then, it could be more open with the same level of security. No? Why? Why would they need to be open? It hasn't necessarily hurt them to this point, and I think Apple exerting some amount of control helps contain things and keeps the experience as clean as Apple wants it to be. So I applaud Apple for its support for open source and the way that it supported open source. OS X, hello, based on FreeBSD. Safari or WebKit, WebKit's open source. They've taken that ball and run with it and made it fantastic, fantastic enough that Google picked up WebKit and ran with it with Chrome. Now they've moved on to Blink, abandoning WebKit altogether. Opera now running on Blink, though, instead of WebKit, but because they're basically basing their Opera, if you didn't know this, they're basing it on Chromium. So Opera, if you didn't like it before, you may want to revisit Opera as an overlay on top of, if you didn't like the way Google does things with Chrome, if you don't like the Chromium project, you can use Opera as the web browser with all the fancy controls and everything Opera layers on, but still have that Chromium experience underneath. Francesco Michelli asks, plug-in hybrid cars, would you buy one? I probably would. Not yet. Not yet, though. I don't know if they're ready yet, but I would, absolutely. Brandon Nolan asks, what do you think it'll take to popularize electric cars? Boy, a couple of electric cars questions right in a row here on the Facebook thread. More charging stations, perhaps more incentives, more options to choose from. And I think even the distance, right? That's what would have me worried about getting an electric car, is having to stress out about the distance. Where am I going to drive today? Where can't I drive? Where are the charging? It's not, society's getting there, it's just not ready yet. So until then, I'm probably going to remain a fan of hybrid. Let's see here. Best offline maps apps for iOS, asks Matthew Dunn. Now, speaking of, I did want to announce this. I finally received my status update for the update for Google Maps on Chrome. Sorry. Android, so this is my Nexus 4. They have not pushed out the Google Maps update for iOS yet. They will soon. And it seems to be working okay. Offline maps are coming back to... I'm sorry. They just added this feature, which is an old feature if you've used iOS and Google software before. Now you can shake to send feedback, so I was kind of shaking around. Disable the shake gesture, yes, because I'll never use it. But performance on the map, I found to be lagging. So the funny thing is Google Maps on the Nexus 4 performed better with the earlier version. On this new version, it's dropping frames left and right, like stutter. Like, really? the old version was fine on the Nexus 4. So they may have made some improvements, but they also kind of seemingly took away. So best offline maps for iOS. You know, I guess I've never had any experiences with them, but TomTom has pretty much been the name in maps for years, and I would tend to steer people that direction over everything else. I'm checking here, looking around. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the list. It's difficult when you're taking in questions from the community when you don't have a producer helping you take in questions from the community. Give me a second. I'm refreshing that page. Boy, I just ordered an Apple MBA MacBook Air, and I could really use another opinion on the following. Do you think the base 1.3 i5 that comes with the new MacBook Air is enough to power a machine that'll be used with Photoshop from time to time and also Parallels? Yes. You're talking time to time, Parallels. I know it runs Parallels. Just this version runs Parallels just fine, and the newer version runs it even better, certainly, when it comes to power. And that's really what you would get a MacBook Air for, power and portability. Power in the sense that the battery is probably going to last you all day with average use. If you're pegging the CPU, you can expect a lower battery life on any device, though. I guess there is the answer to your question. He asks a second question, in your experience, do you think the 13-inch screen is too small for document creation or that the pixel density is too low? No, I think it's just fine. It's ample. You know, I would be fine, you know, for just raw document creation using the Chromebook that I just destroyed here. It works just fine, and the screen is not that large. So an 11-inch would even be ample. I don't think you would see or should see any issues with that. See here, looking down through the list, don't really see anything else from that list. Oh, before I forget, I learned this. We've got an article written by Candace Shane on LockerGnome.com. There is the summer Steam sale, and I think many of you already have taken advantage of that. So if you're looking for impulse buy or impulse buys on the Steam sale, Candace has a few recommendations for you. And I know that she loves gaming. She's in fact, she also wrote another article today, and I think this one's a bit more controversial, saying, there is no gamer girl, breaking down gender in gaming. If you know any gamer girls, or you're a girl gamer, or you just want a perspective from a gamer who happens to be a girl, so to speak, you may want to take a look at this article, or both of them. She's been posting a lot of gaming content on LockerGnome.com lately, and doing a fantastic job at that. So, Steam, selling things. Have you purchased anything on Steam? I have not. I don't know. Maybe there's something that would be worth. I just like casual gaming. Did they have, okay, let me ask you this. All you Steam fanatics, are there good casual games on sale that I would like? Something that would not ruin my life for a week. You know, something I could pick up, put down. That would be great. For me, I would appreciate that. Super Videos 131 asks, any more details on what you might be doing with LockerGnome, the buying and selling thing? Yes, this is something that I referred to in the vlog published today. I've been thinking about this over and over and over again. I just don't know what to do. Now, I got LockerGnome.com. I was even asking the question of what do I do with Chris.Pirillo.com. And here's an idea. This is Rebel Mouse. If you go over to rebelmouse.com, you can browse my social feeds. Like you can flip over and see all the things that I've posted to YouTube by flipping over to the YouTube tab. You can flip to the Instagram tab and see all the things that I posted to Instagram. And I'm thinking about mirroring everything that I'm doing on Chris.Pirillo.com here. So basically, if you go to Chris.Pirillo.com, you'll get a Rebel Mouse type of layout. I don't know if you guys would like that. But as far as buying it, or not just buying and selling things, but selling things on LockerGnome.com, I'm thinking about reselling geeky things, technology stuff. Like, you know, I find something really awesome. Well, instead of just sending you on to Amazon, why don't I just resell it and send it to you directly? Or like the Allo clip, you know, you guys may buy it somewhere else, but would you buy stuff if I did it? You know, like geeky hoodies. Would you buy geeky hoodies if I sold them on LockerGnome.com? I'm asking the question because I really genuinely don't know. Tech stuff, geeky stuff, nerdy stuff, like it's all mixed in together, potentially. That's the direction I'm thinking. Or I've also thought about publishing nothing but reviews on LockerGnome.com, are the best things that I find to buy on Amazon.com, because a lot of people do. And then if I did the review direction, what LockerGnome.com might be is like, hey, we're gnomes and we like helping people, and you know, we'll have a gaming gnome, and we'll have a fashion gnome, and a movies gnome, and all these gnomes who live in these virtual lockers, right? And then the reviews posted, they'll each be, you know, people could submit their own reviews for something they bought on Amazon. We can flip-flop with their affiliate link, so we can give them credit for certain bounties. But if I go that direction with LockerGnome.com, you know, well, you would know, certainly. I just don't know yet. Deals.LockerGnome.com has been doing very, very well, thank you, because you've been taking advantage of the deals we've been posting there. But I just want to put a finer point on that. So I'm thinking of a couple things. If I sold stuff, would you want me to do that kind of thing? Would you buy the stuff that I had to sell, the nerdy, geeky, techie stuff? If I, you know, turned LockerGnome.com into a reviews site, would you post your own reviews, you know, and be a gnome, you know, for a review that you posted, if you could write well, you know, something that somebody else could buy on Amazon.com. A reviews-based site, based on your reviews. You guys would be gnomies then. And yes, speaking of gnomies, I have to open up that group to everybody who donated to the Indiegogo project. I'm very grateful for that. So that's coming down the pike soon. I'm probably going to be reshaping Nomies into more of a premium layer. So if you ever, the idea would be, if you've ever donated to me, sent anything into me, help me out in that way, I would let you into Nomies and make that the premium level subscription. And it's still a private Facebook group. It's moderated now, so hopefully everything that gets shared and posted is of value. I know that people who are still participatory appreciate certain parts of it, certainly that part of it. But, you know, I just have to change these things up. So thank you again for your flexibility in everything that I'm trying to do just to make things successful, not just for you, but for everybody. So, you know, just let me know your feedback. I really appreciate it. I read the comments that you guys post. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but on Facebook, and I'm thinking about doing this more frequently, you know, after I post a YouTube video, I do have a chance to reply to some comments, especially, you know, comments that I think are really good comments. And then, you know, I try to post a cogent thought, and then I take a screenshot of it and share that screenshot with everybody in social so that everybody can see it. So, like, this is one from yesterday's TLDR. We both, I think, made very cogent points around the same idea of Microsoft doing the reorg. And then that, you know, sparked a whole different conversation thread on Facebook. No one really did that on Google+. Oh, and then above this, and I think this, you know, I'll take a couple more questions before I kind of round this out. You know, after, you know, getting feedback, I know I've got everybody on sensory overload. I posted a picture of this. It's not the first tape recorder I ever wanted, but they still make tape recorders. My question, and I asked this as I posted a link to where you could get this, a tape recorder. What was the first, this is my question for you today, really. Well, I got one other question I have for you. What was the first piece of technology you ever lusted after? Like, you would close your eyes and you would dream of having this, a piece of tech. Mine was the tape recorder. That's what I wanted. $30, but that was so out of reach. You know, when I was in the first and second grade. I was so young. But that tape recorder, I was enamored with the idea of being able to say something or do something and have it recorded so I can go back to it at any point in time. You know, I'm sure those tapes are lying around somewhere, whether or not they still work or would snap in a tape recorder today. Yeah, the tape recorder, that was it for me. Something that looked an awful lot like that. I ended up getting the tape recorder through, it was a magazine drive that our grade school had, and I sold the most subscriptions, and so I had a choice between all these prizes, and one of them was a tape recorder. And that's how I got the tape recorder. That was the thing. Throwboy Pillows says the mini disc player. Really? You know, I never really, I saw the mini disc player, like, But then again, I had CDs at that point, so I can't take anything away if that's what you wanted. Sandra Ramirez, the PSP. Very nice. A few people are saying Nintendo. Fair enough. Oh, the PXL 2000, Tinker Toy 701 says. Yes! I wanted one. I never got one. If I remember correctly, what was it? The PXL 2000? It was a video recording device that you could take cassette tapes, put it into this video recording device, and record video on cassette tapes. Oh, man. You guys are just on the weekends I get nostalgic, and I would say this is a great place to talk about it. Talkboy says Tenor Masta. This Talkboy, someone mentioned this in the Facebook thread on the tape recorder today too. This was something that was in Home Alone. The Talkboy. Now I'm curious to know what it was. I haven't looked it up yet. This Talkboy. Really real fun stuff to cover with you guys on Fridays. So I'll take one more question, but let me go ahead and begin to round this out. I know this is a long time for you guys to be paying attention. I wanted to try to keep it within 30 minutes. Obviously went a little past that, but I do want to make sure everybody is satisfied enough with this video, enough to come back and want to come back next week for a live TLDR, which should be happening theoretically somehow. I'll try to make it happen. I think more than anything, because I'm not seeing a lot of questions coming in at this stage. I got everybody talking about their the first thing that they wanted, and they're saying a lot of the same stuff: Atari, first gen iPod, PS1, GameCube, Nintendo. Here's the thing: if you looked at the stuff that I was doing 5 years ago, it's going to be different than the stuff I'm doing today. You know why? Because it's a different landscape. You got to change with the times. And I've learned different things over time, what works, what doesn't work, and I take what works and try to make it better. So, like I said, I'm really appreciative of all the feedback. I'm only doing this live TLDR every Friday, or trying to do every Friday, because you guys want it, and because you guys respond well, and because you'll watch it even after it's been broadcast, because that's the thing. That's why I don't like doing a lot of live long-form stuff. I try to keep it in a half hour, because I want it to be rewatchable. So if you watched this whole thing after it was live, thanks again for your support. I really appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. Thanks for liking, commenting, and sharing everything we're doing for you with everybody else. We'll see you later.